Karnak, fortified city, called in ancient Egypt Ipetsut, the most revered place, is the name of a small town in Egypt, located on the eastern bank of the Nile River, north of Luxor, the area of the ancient Thebes, which housed the most important religious complex in ancient Egypt. It is part of the complex called Ancient Thebes with its necropolis, declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1979. It is the largest complex of temples in Egypt. For centuries, this place was the most influential Egyptian religious center. The main temple was dedicated to the cult of the god Amun, but as in other Egyptian temples, other divinities were also venerated. The Karnak temple complex is made up of the Amun-Ra precinct, the Manta precinct, the Mut precinct, the Jansu temple, the Opet temple, and the Ptah temple. There was also a sacred lake, numerous smaller temples and chapels, and multiple rooms and warehouses, located within the walls that surrounded the main enclosure. The main difference between the Temple of Amun in Karnak and the majority of Egyptian temples is the time and effort used in its construction and subsequent expansions. Some 30 pharaohs contributed with their buildings, turning the temple into a complex, which due to its size, about 30 hectares, had never been known. The Karnak Hypostyle Hall is one of the most unique parts of the religious complex. At 23 meters high, it is an architectural space whose roof is supported by 134 gigantic columns that are highest in the two central rows, forming a large corridor whose arrangement makes it possible to illuminate from the axis of the room. Stone was used as material, carved into blocks that make up the drums of the columns. These were supported by bases, and ended in gigantic papyrus-shaped and bell-shaped capitals, on which enormous lintels were placed that supported a little cover. The shafts of such colossal columns were decorated with polychrome reliefs, responsible for complementing the grandeur of the sacred place. In ancient Egypt, the construction of temples always began at the sanctuary, which means that Karnak began in the center, and was completed at the entrances to the enclosure. The entire complex was richly decorated and painted in bright colors. The construction of the Karnak complex is quite complicated, since more than 30 pharaohs participated in its construction. It covers more than 100 hectares, an area larger than some ancient cities. Construction at Karnak began 4,000 years ago, and continued until the time the Romans took control of Egypt. About 2,000 years ago, each Egyptian ruler who worked at Karnak left his own architectural mark. The temple was renovated and expanded with each new ruler, resulting in the enormous religious complex that can be visited today, and that surprises travelers with its enormous dimensions, both for its extension and the height of its pylons and columns.